Let's go around the nation. I want to talk about some major developments and just get your opinion on it. We'll start with Justice Terry. He was at Alabama this week. I know he's trending heavily to Georgia, but was this a big visit for the Tide?
Absolutely, and it was one that I didn't necessarily see coming. I knew he was going to be back at Alabama to watch the Crimson Tide host Georgia. And Georgia's the On3 RPM favorite, but I'm starting to get the sense that Alabama's more than a dark horse in this recruitment. He was on campus with his parents. They all had a great time. Coach Freddie Roach has been the lead recruiter. That connection's been strong, and it'll be interesting to see. Games I generally don't feel like impact recruitments as much as like the comments maybe suggest when they get done visiting places. But if Coach Kalen DeBoer and this first-year Alabama staff can beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa with Justice Terry and what's going to be other blue chip recruits watching, maybe that's an inch that helps them win this recruitment off the field. My RPM still with Georgia, but it's like Justice Terry. I got a keen eye on Alabama moving forward and interested to see how it continues to play out, because we definitely know Justice Terry is capable of committing somewhere other than Georgia. He did it once with USC. Could he do it again with Alabama?
All right. Now, Deuce Knight was at Auburn. We heard heading into the weekend that this could be the weekend that he makes it official. Do you think the fact that Auburn laid an egg at home against Cal maybe hurt their chances? Do you think if they would have beat Cal, Deuce Knight would be committed by now?
No, I think that it just wasn't the right moment for him to flip his commitment from Notre Dame to Auburn. I still ultimately think that it's trending that way for the Tigers. And I think he saw a football team that turned the ball over 4 times where they beat Cal. And he sees a place that's trending upwards that he could come in and have a major impact. And nothing else changes. Auburn's in the SEC. It's close to home. He's built a fantastic relationship with that coaching staff. He sees all the talent they've loaded up at wide receiver in that true freshman class. It's a really good recruiting class coming together in 2025. I think he's had conversations with prospects about what that would look like with him joining the fold, who would come with him, things of that nature. So I still like the way it's trending for Auburn. We'll see if he shows back up at Ole Miss or Notre Dame. Maybe that murkies things up a little bit, but I still like Auburn here as they chase the nation's #1 class. I give the betting odds to Georgia, but Auburn's on the board with odds, and Deuce Knight would be a major pickup as in that race.
All right, let's head down to Tallahassee and check on Florida State's recruiting death spiral after losing Myron Charles to Texas on Saturday. Whew. Prized edge Javian Hilson announces his decommitment from FSU on Sunday. And Steve, you waste no time picking his next destination. Tell the people about your latest prediction.
Yeah, I got an On3 RPM prediction in favor of Texas for Javian Hilson. Coming out of his official visit to Texas in the summer, there was a little bit of buzz that the Longhorns led at that time as well. Florida State was able to right that ship, get him in the fold, get his commitment. But we've seen Texas be the leader in the summer and then rally after maybe a hurdle. That happened with Josiah Sharma. It looked like Josiah Sharma was going to Texas. Then Oregon, for a split second, gets him in the fold. And then Myron Charles. There was a lot of buzz that Texas was giving him a lot to think about. Then he just kind of made a surprise commitment to Florida State. I know my RPM ended up being right for Myron Charles in that moment when he committed to Florida State, but I was thinking I needed to change my pick to Texas. And then he popped up for Florida State, and I was like, okay, interesting. But Texas gets Myron Charles in the fold. Maybe that's what happens with Javian Hilson. I expect him back in Austin for a game visit sometime this season. Their competition might be UCF right now. Josh, Gus Malzahn and company doing a great job in state. They're certainly in the thick of it. Now, with a player the caliber of Javian Hilson decommitting, that phone starts ringing and some major players start jumping in. So Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, those are some programs that you certainly start thinking about. Can they make a run at Javian Hilson? And he's been committed to Alabama before, so we know he's got mad love for them.
Right.
But Texas and UCF, I know, are way in that one right now, and I like where the Longhorns stand. He's going to announce in December. We'll see if that timeline sticks. It didn't stick for Ty Jackson and USC, but I like where Texas stands, and that's where the On3 RPM lies.
And I think that'll be a big recruitment. Like you said, I mean, he's big, he's fast, he's athletic, he's from the state of Florida. I think
He's hard.
Yeah.
Plays hard, plays for one of the best high school coaches in the state, for one of the most hard-nosed high school programs in the Southeast at Cocoa. He's wired right, man, and he plays in big games. He'd be a big pickup for anybody, and I think right now it would be for Texas. Texas is putting together one of the best defensive line classes in the country. When you look at this top 5 class right now, they are loaded up front already, across the front with versatile attacking style defensive linemen. They have Jonah Williams committed at safety, who is a Swiss Army knife on the back end of your defense. And then it's another massive offensive line class for Texas too. And I think the biggest thing with Texas football right now, as they make the playoff last year, they're one of the favorites to win the national championship this year, is just the culture change, how physical this program is, how they're able to go up into Ann Arbor against a Michigan team that maybe had a lot of turnover on the coaching staff and on the field. But the one thing that they were going to be is physical and tough. And Texas was able to do what they wanted against a program that historically has been tough around the line of scrimmage and physical, and it's a black and blue game. And Texas was in complete control. And that just shows you how far this program has come, because even like 3 years ago, they weren't there. They were starting to get there. Now they have depth. They're stacking recruiting classes. I don't think Texas is going anywhere for a while. Players like Javion Hilson see that, and he would be another major addition as they try and stay competitive for years to come.
He'd be a massive addition to anybody's roster. All right, let's talk the latest on 5-star offensive tackle Andrew Babalola. Today's September 9th. Steve, where are we at with him?
I'm going to just be quick on Andrew Babalola, Josh. I think people feel good around Auburn. I think people feel good around Michigan. And I think people feel good around Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a program that we haven't given as much burn as we have Auburn and Michigan. But I think people feel good around Oklahoma. I think there's people around Andrew Babalola that would love to see him at Stanford. So you never rule out Stanford. And they've done a good job recruiting him. They got 2 offensive line coaches. So we wait, man. I mean, this is one where he tried to commit in the summer, tried to commit before the first day of school, tried to commit before his first game. I've talked to people that said he's pretty sure about knowing what he's going to do. But for whatever the reason, and that's his business, he's working through it with his family. He hasn't been able to narrow it down to one. He's got great options. He continues to talk regularly with them. Those programs are going to remain patient, because I've talked to coaches behind the scenes that say that if it all comes together for Andrew Babalola, they wouldn't be surprised if he is tackle number 1 in the NFL draft down the road. I mean, certainly you got guys like David Sanders, Michael Fasusi are uber talented. Oklahoma has another tackle commit in Ryan Foji, who's really good. But Andrew Babalola, coaches gush behind the scenes about his upside and what the player he could be on the next level.